Do you think that balding men are less attractive, less relevant, of less value? Are they less of anything good? A man who is balding, is he less of a person? Less in any way? Simply put, is he uglier because he's balding? Let's talk about this. Now, one of the reoccurring things that I talk about on my channel is that how your hair loss reality is what you choose to believe. You create it. So if you think that balding men are worth less in this world, that they deserve less, that they are less attractive, if that's how you perceive all of them, then that's obviously how you perceive yourself if you yourself are balding. Okay? I know that's a heavy concept. Let's camp out there. So what about people like me who are balding? Maybe not too severe to be age 36, but still I am. What about my brain and how I think? See, that's why things get interesting for me as a YouTube host of a hair loss channel. Because in my brain, I don't see balding men as less attractive. I don't see them as less valuable, less desirable. I don't see balding men as those things. So I have quite an advantage as a man who is definitely beginning to bald. It completely, I have a different worldview than a lot of balding men because they judge all other balding men as ugly or less attractive, whatever, and they throw themselves in that pit themselves. And then there's me, who is balding, and I don't see balding men as a bad thing, as a negative thing, and I am one, so I don't get thrown in the pit, right? And we've discussed many times how just because that you are balding, you're not even being judged by that anyway. It's so, I almost should use the word perverted. I know that when people use the word perverted, they tend to think of it in a sexual way, but I think it's perverted. I think it's perverted the way that balding men, by default, tend to imagine that they are of less value because they're losing their hair. And then in reality, and I've talked about this so many times, that society judges us on about 10 other things instead. And instead of focusing on those, we focus on the one that society doesn't care about. To me, that's the definition of what perverted is. And if I could, I'd put that in the title of this video, but YouTube will block it saying it's not advertiser friendly. So I'll have to be creative there. But either way, just imagine though. Imagine instead of a hair transplant, you got a brain transplant. You got a mindset transplant like I have. To where no matter how much hair you have or didn't have, that ultimately you don't see it as a bad thing that men are going bald. Now I want to talk about Hollywood again, because again, that's another thing that YouTube censors me from. They say that if I say Hollywood, that it's not advertiser friendly, so I can't make money. So I have to be careful not to put that in the title either. But it's just this whole concept of like, in Hollywood, in America, of all the men that you see in Hollywood that still have their hair, that are Norwood 2 or 1 or better, how many of those guys are on Propecia, have had a hair transplant, or at least have to have Go Fiber or something put in their hair in order to show up on camera? How many of them? You know, we can't really know for sure. We know like Steve Carell, for example. We know Matthew McConaughey. We know Donald Trump. We know many that have. But what about all of the ones we don't know? And my takeaway from that is this. That's how normal it is for us to lose our hair. It's so normal and it's so common. I'm not going to say that most men lose their hair. I'm going to say it's very common. It's very natural. So I believe though, just like I've told you before, I believe that it's a personal choice whether you let someone offend you or not, or whether you let someone annoy you or not. I also believe it's a personal choice on how you view balding men, and obviously yourself included. Because that's the thing, when we are judgmental towards other people, it reflects us. It reflects our insecurity. And it's not just about hair loss, it's about anything. Someone who's having to tease other people or be sarcastic to other people all the time, that it obviously comes across as insecurity when I see that, right? I'm a secure guy. I'm not here to make fun of anybody, to tease anybody. I'm here to build people up, because that's what confident people do, with or without hair. And no, I don't see balding men as ugly or unattractive or less desirable, less worthy. I definitely believe, again, going back to the whole perverted mindset, that, remember that video I made about the 10 or 11 things you can do to be cool, even if you're balding? Remember the video, another video I made talking about the way that we're actually judged by society? Let me just throw a few at you. It's a matter of being friendly, of being helpful, of being kind, of being skilled, of being emotionally intelligent. All these things we're being judged on, and then we're chasing this old thing over here, our hair loss. And I'm gonna let people do that. I'm gonna win at life as I let all those other people, and it's not just hair insecurity, it's anything. Any kind of insecurity somebody else has, people like me are gonna take advantage of that by not playing into that game, instead focusing on what we know society actually judges us on and what actually moves us forward in life. So no, I don't think that balding men are ugly or less worthy or anything like that. And I challenge all of you the same. As long as you judge men that way, you're judging yourself that way, you're throwing yourself in that pit. I say get out of the pit, come with me, we've got better places to go.